Hey, so let me give you some backstory on me. My name is Adrianna McGilvery, born December 9th, 1992. I have three siblings from my mom. Well, three siblings from my mom, two older sisters, and an older brother. I have another older brother from my dad, and that's kinda a little bit me. Um, My mom and my dad were divorced after I was born. They were separated when I was born. My brother and I grew up with my mom. We lived in a small town called St. Thomas. We now live in London. We've been here ever since I was 8 years old. And this video is going to be kind of me rambling because I'm trying to give a basis of what I really want this to be. I've been sitting on YouTube trying to figure out how to do my channel, and I finally come to a conclusion. I'm not going to do this channel to get views. I'm not going to sit there and do challenges and everything just to get people to watch. I'm basically going to try and do kind of like diaries, or diaries are kind of personal. I don't want to call it diaries, but I'm just going to call them entries or something, because I suffer from bipolar depression with anxiety. Now, don't quote me on that, because I've recently discovered that it might not be bipolar. I'm going for an EEG in June to get a picture of my brain. When I was younger, I was diagnosed as ADD. Once I turned 18, after I've had my two kids, I was told I was bipolar depressant with anxiety. They said I was never ADD, and that's what it was my bipolar. They just couldn't diagnose it because I was too young. I don't think that's it though. See, one thing that I may have said on the channel I used to have, and I've never said on this channel, when I was 8 or 9 years old, we lived with a man named Tim. Tim decided that being my mom's boyfriend was no longer enough. He turned his attentions to me. Now, I had known Tim since the day I was born. He was my uncle for the longest time. But once I got older, my mom explained to me that he was just a family friend that we ended up calling Uncle Tim because we were around him all the time. Then when he split from his longtime girlfriend and my mom was single, they started dating, which was weird at first, but we got used to it. Well, he'd always considered me like a daughter, so it wasn't too hard for him to wrap his head around the fact that he was helping my mom raise both my brother and I. Well, around 8 or 9, he decided he wanted me along with my mom. So late nights, early mornings, weekends, whenever my mom was at work and my brother was out of the house, I was living in a nightmare. This went on until I was about 15, when I finally got up the courage to tell my mom, because something similar happened to a family member of mine, and that family member ended up in foster care, and all I knew was that something like that had happened to her. I didn't know why child services got involved or anything. So I was afraid to tell my mom because I didn't want her getting in trouble, and I didn't want to end up being taken away from her. So I kept it to myself for years. I remember telling one of my friends, and I remember turning around and telling them, "Don't say anything." He said he'd never do it again. But that was just me covering up. My brother thought something was going on, and I denied it till I was blue in the face. the one thing that always bothered me was when I finally came out with it and started going through the process of getting things done. The fact that everyone was like, oh, I had suspicions. Oh, I thought something was going on. If you thought something was going on, why didn't you sit down and talk to me? Why didn't you let me know that was okay, that nothing bad would happen if I said anything? We used to live in these houses where I know the walls were paper thin. I screamed at the top of my lungs. I cried so hard, but no one ever actually asked me and told me nothing bad would happen. The only person that ever asked me flat out if something was going on was my brother, and he didn't know how to approach it. Stupidly, the guy that did this to me, Tim, he had done the same thing to his sister when he was younger. And she took him to court for it. And during that process, my brother, my mom, and I got put into a women's shelter. And CIS started asking us all these questions and putting us in these groups. CIS taught me how to hide the signs. Child Services taught me how to hide what the key signs were that proved abuse. So I hid it till I was 15. I was able to hide it. Shortly after that happened, I ended up pregnant with my daughter because I was so eager to have a good sexual experience that the first guy I felt like I was actually in love with, that I was able to have a real relationship with, because I didn't have some 40-year-old man breathing down my neck saying, "You're mine, you can't be with anyone else." I slept with him, I was in love with him, and I had a daughter with him, and I thank him to this day with the bottom of my heart for being there for me, going through all that. But after that, I went into another relationship, but with a very mentally and emotionally abusive guy, and that's how I got my son. From there, it escalated. Like, I ended up being diagnosed with bipolar depression, with anxiety, and that's not who I was as a kid. I was a happy-go-lucky kid. I was friends with everybody. But apparently, it's not who I am. Because now I don't leave my apartment for weeks on end. I hardly ever talk to people. I'll make plans and decide, no, I don't want to do it anymore because I don't want to leave my apartment because the world is too scary to deal with. I mean, it's not who I am, who I want to be. It's not who I was. I'll get into doing something and then I'll just stop because it feels like too much work or my anxiety will kick in. I can't keep my apartment clean for long because I'll start cleaning it and get into a good routine and then be like, oh, well, I don't feel like doing it today. Another day rolls around. I still don't feel like doing it. I want it. I don't know what to do. And I'm going to be making these videos and posting them on YouTube, and I don't know, maybe as I'm ranting and getting my feelings out, it might help someone. I hope it helps someone. And I'm hoping that there might be someone out there that knows what I'm going through and maybe can start a conversation. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm hoping to get out of this. I do know that it's making me feel better. Kind of like writing in this. My mom gave it to me last year. Don't have many entries in it, but it helps. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is what I'm hoping people will take from it. But this is me. This is who I am without getting dolled up or anything. 4:30 in the morning on March 10th. So, take it or leave it. I don't care. You can say all the comments you want. I really don't care. Well, I'm going to try and get some sleep now. And I'll hopefully get my other memory card back from my mom and be able to go on a longer rant. For now, good night.